Hey y'all, good morning. I hope you guys are all having a great morning. It's hump day, hump day, hump day. So I'm gonna wash my face really fast. And then what I was thinking we could do was we could get back to basics. When I don't know if you guys have been around since I used to do morning meditations with a channel, but when I first started my channel, I would do meditations every morning. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do morning meditation together. Okay. Feels a lot better. Okay. My skin is really soft because I've been doing this AHA pill overnight. I'll show it to you guys. It's this Derma E overnight AHA's exfoliating facial pill, and it's working. It makes my skin so soft, you guys. All right, now that we did that, now let's go do our meditation. So I gotta get my book. I think it's downstairs. I see the book. So, Nate went to school. I think we're gonna go and spend the weekend with my family. So, I think that's the plan. Okay, y'all ready? We're gonna do this morning meditation together. All right. Everything's going good. I got Nate to school on time this morning, and yeah. All right, y'all ready? There y'all are. Hey, Danny. I'm doing good. Hey, Classy. So everything is good. My husband is actually calling and making an appointment with the therapist this morning. We had a long talk this morning, you guys, and I just told him that I care about him and I want what's best for him. I want him to succeed. And so that's going to work itself out. We're going to get back on track to going to meetings every week. We're going to go to a meeting every week together, because he likes it when we can go together, and he doesn't have to sit alone, and that'll make it to where me and him can go and have that time together for our recovery together, you know, because we used to do that all the time. We used to go to meetings together all the time at the very beginning, but the longer I've stayed sober, the more complacent I've got, and so I usually go to maybe one meeting a week. But I usually use this as my meeting time because I'm with you guys and we're talking about recovery. But he's still early in his recovery and he needs more structure than that. So we're going to get back on it and I'm going to help him. And he's willing to do it. So that's the thing. If he wasn't willing to do it, I told him he had, I said, if you don't want to live a sober life, then you can leave. Straight up, you guys. I have to protect my recovery and my son. And me and my son are more important than that. So, anyway, I wanted to let you guys know that's what's going on. So, today is February 20th or 21st. I don't even know. What's today's date, you guys? I'm nervous for my husband. He is slowly dropping his Suboxone. I'm hopeful and also nervous. I told him it's okay if he needs it. Yeah, so Danny, is he doing it with his doctor? The 20th. Okay, good. Make sure he's tapering with a doctor. And the doctor's monitoring him. Because listen, okay, listen to me. It is so difficult to hold yourself accountable and do it on your own. that's why I tapered down to 6. And then I started feeling really good, and I decided I was going to jump off my Lexapro. Jumped off my Lexapro, then I started taking more Suboxone. And then I got back on my Lexapro, and then I went to my doctor and told him everything. And that's when he told me, he said, we're going to take 2 milligrams away this month. And then in 3 months, you'll come back, and we'll take 2 more milligrams away. So I'm literally stabilizing on my dose, you know, for 3 months. Right. And because, listen, the doctor is going to be able to, like, take his blood pressure, make sure that he's, like, he will be able to help your husband, like, see if he's, like, starting to experience any kind of withdrawal. I mean, it's just important to have the doctor on board, because the doctor's going to help him to do it, and he'll be more successful. I promise. Listen to me. Every person I've seen taper on their own has went back to drugs, has relapsed. Because they struggled. Because they did it too quickly, because they weren't in the right state of mind, because they didn't have a program set in place, they didn't have a... Listen, if your husband's not into AA, get him into some therapy. He needs to go to therapy once a week. He needs to have him and his therapist time. Okay? If he's not into doing 12 steps. If he's not into doing therapy, then get him to go on the computer and look up Refuge Recovery or Smart Recovery. Those are meetings that he can go to that are online. Because this is when you start when he starts getting down low, that's when that craving for opiates is going to kick back in, because that opiate's not going to be going to that receptor anymore. And so those cravings will come back, you know, and you just want to make sure that he knows and he has support to fight that. So February 20th, you guys, here we go. One of the first things I heard in Al-Anon. So this is an Al-Anon book, you guys, and we all know that I'm codependent. So I want to read, this is called Courage to Change. So if you have a loved one who is an addict, this is for you. I need this morning. One of the first things I heard in Al-Anon was that we didn't have to accept unacceptable behavior. This idea helped me to see that I need not tolerate violence or abuse, and that I had choices I hadn't even recognized before. I set some limits, not to control others, but to offer myself guidelines so that I would know what was and what was not acceptable and what to do about it. A few years later, I was congratulating myself on how I no longer had such problems, when I suddenly realized that there was still one person from whom I regularly accepted unacceptable behavior: myself. I was continually berating myself and blaming myself when things went wrong. I never gave myself credit for my efforts. I told myself I was homely, thoughtless, lazy, and stupid. I would never say those things to a friend. I realized that until I started treating myself like a valid friend, I would be standing in the way of my own recovery. Today's reminder: I have been affected by a disease of attitudes. When I treat myself with love and approval, I know that I am recovering. So, you know, what they teach us in Al-Anon, you guys, is that we have to set boundaries with our addicted loved one, and we have to learn how to detach from them with love and allow them to go through what they're going through. You know, for me, the hardest thing that I've had the most problems with is letting go of control and trying to let my husband find his way on his own. You know, when I see him struggling, I want to jump right in and start offering all the ideas that I know that can help him, like I do with you guys. I want to help him get connected to all the resources. But you guys, I can do that, and if he doesn't want to follow through with it, it's not going to change anything. I have to let him change, you know, and the only thing I can do is keep changing myself and leading by example. Nobody's perfect, you guys. I've been sober since July 15th of 2013, okay? But before I got sober, I had such a hard time staying sober. Hey, Kelly. I couldn't get on track. I couldn't find my way. I would get sober for a little bit, and then something would tempt me, would kind of tickle my fancy, and I would do it, you know. And I had a good job, I had a good life. I didn't have my son yet, you know. Whenever I got pregnant with my son, I couldn't stay sober. I used, and then I would get sober, and then I would use, and then I'd get sober. And so putting my son through that stress when he was in my belly, and then when he was born, being an active addict, I see what my selfishness had done, you know. I don't want to hurt my son. I want to help him to have a great life. I want him to not have to worry about whether mommy's going to be there or not, or if I'm going to be okay or not, you know. And that motivates me to keep going forward. That motivates me to keep on the right path and to stay sober. I do remember, though, and I've been trying to think back to whenever I struggled staying sober, okay? And I do remember, like, wanting to be sober, but just having a really hard time maintaining any type of sobriety. I remember really, really, really struggling with the thoughts of wanting to change the way I felt. I always wanted to change. I didn't feel okay with me. I would feel uncomfortable on the inside. You know what I mean? I know, Danny. I know. It's so hard. And you want to love them so much, and you want to help them, and you want to point them in the right direction. But it's like, at what point are we just like enabling them and not helping at all? It's like they feel like we're just little naggies. Like we're little nags, little birds over here nagging. You know what I mean? Like, I want to live differently. I want to have a better life. I want to be a better mom. I want to have stability in my life. You know, we have to let our husbands want that too, you know, and we have to encourage them, though, like encourage them. And yeah, Danny, and when you can get on that level and you understand what it's like now, you know how you said, like you say sometimes about in the afternoons is when you struggle. It's like, now you know, it's like that obsession of our minds because we've practiced drinking and using for so many years. So that's kind of like what it is for your husband. And now you know, because the drinking, it's like you practice doing that behavior for so long that it becomes a working part of your mind. And so when we get sober, we have to practice doing the sober life, okay, as a working part of our mind. I think somebody commented last night on my video, and they were like, you know, addiction, if you just would have a little self-control, a self-discipline. And when people say that kind of stuff, you guys, it goes all over me. Because addiction has nothing to do with self-control or self-discipline. It is a mental disorder. It is a disease of the brain. It is a mental obsession. Okay, I want to read the doctor's opinion to you guys. And the doctor's opinion is out of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I think you guys will really think it's interesting. I don't think I've ever read it on my channel before. And listen to this. So this is written by a doctor. To whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning, was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless. Okay, so he started taking care of a patient who was a smart guy, had a great job, good businessman, but he was an alcoholic. And the doctor thought, this guy's hopeless. I can't help him. In the course of his third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to others, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. So, he got this idea that if he could share his struggle, share his story, share what he's going through with other alcoholics, that would help them to recover. Okay, this is the connection. And then he said, once they start to recover, they have to do the same. Pass it on. Okay? This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and women. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered. I personally know scores of cases who were of the type with whom other methods had failed completely. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance. Because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group, they may mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. These men may well have a remedy for thousands of such situations. You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. So they're finding a solution through fellowship with each other, through connecting on their common struggle. They're bonding over their struggle, and they're telling each other, and they're helping each other. Hey man, I'm tempted. I want to use today. What are you doing? Let's go get some coffee. And the other guy called, hey man, I'm at the airport. I'm right there near the bar. Can I talk to you for a little bit until I board my flight? These are like businessmen, 1930s, you know. Alcohol was all over the place. Alcohol was the cool thing to do. And here they are, these grown men calling each other and saying, hey man, I'm having a trigger. Can I talk to you? And that's how they're doing it, you guys. They're helping each other stay sober. That's how AA started. Okay. So that was written by Dr. William D. Silkworth, MD. Okay? So then he goes in and he tells about the disease of addiction. So listen to this. The physician who at our request gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. Hey, Angel. In this statement, he confirms what we have suffered alcoholic torture must believe, that the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. So you can just put addiction here, because alcoholism is addiction. The body of the addict is quite as abnormal as his mind. So there you go. The body and the mind. It's a twofold disease. It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not drink, that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality, or were outright mental defectives. These things were true to some extent, in fact, to a considerable extent with some of us, but we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out this physical factor is incomplete. The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. So here's how it talks to us about the allergy to alcohol, the allergy to Xanax, the allergy to hydros, the allergy to heroin, the allergy to crack cocaine, the allergy to cocaine. This is the allergy. Listen. As laymen, our opinion as it sounds may, of course, mean little, but as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that his explanation makes good sense. So what they're saying is, as a regular person, you might not believe what we're saying, but as people that have been through the struggle, who are ex-drug addicts, ex-alcoholics, this shit's real talk, okay? That we work out our solution on the spiritual as well as the altruistic plane. We favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is very jittery or befogged. So they recommend you to go, to detox. More often than not, it is imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached. So last night, talking to my husband, nothing was going to get through to him because he was in the state of mind. Now he's sobered up. I'm talking to him and he's listening. He's hearing what I'm saying. As he has then a better chance of understanding and accepting what we have to offer. And that's what it is, you guys. Like, when we're trying to talk to our loved ones who are drunk or high, they can't hear anything we're saying. So we got to hit them up when they're sober, you know, when they're in their right state of mind, and then offer them this help. The subject presented in this book seems to me to be of paramount importance to those afflicted with alcoholic addiction. So this book is important. If you have the disease of addiction, you need to get this book. I say this after many years' experience as a medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the in the country, treating alcoholic and drug addiction. There was therefore a sense of real satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on a subject which is covered in such masterly detail in these pages. We doctors have realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. What with our ultra-modern standards, our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge. Many years ago, one of the leading contributors to this book came under our care, Bill, in this hospital. And while here, he acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. He put it into action. Later, he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients. Here, and with some misgiving, we consented. The cases we have followed through have been most interesting. In fact, many of them are amazing. The unselfishness of these men, as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive, and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in this alcoholic field. They believe in themselves, and still more in the power which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death. Of course, an alcoholic ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor, and this often requires a definite hospital procedure before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all. Just remembering the struggle of force awesome. I'm so afraid of that. Yeah, totally, Danny. Good job. Good job. So, people like us who suffer from the disease of addiction, we can't go out and drink alcohol. We can't go out and take a pill. We can't go out and smoke. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to abstain, because if we don't, you guys, a lot of times, like for me, if I go out and start puffing on the ganj, and I don't have anything against you. If you can puff on the ganj and not go out and shoot cocaine, I'm proud of you. But for me, if I puff on the ganj, I start getting all loosey-goosey. And then I start wanting a different high. Then I start wanting the high that I always go to. You know what I mean? And once having formed the habit and found they cannot break it, once having lost their self-confidence, their reliance upon things human, their problems pile up on them and they become astonishingly difficult to solve. So basically, you guys, the doctor is sharing with us about how the disease of addiction is a disease. It's a twofold disease, mind and body, and that when he was overseeing Bill W. in the hospital, Bill came up with this idea that, hey, us alcoholics need to get together. We need to connect. Us addicts need to connect, right? We need to help each other. We need to tell our stories to each other and share our experiences, right? And so you had these guys. I think Ebby had like a year sober, and he just was helping Bill get sober. And then they just started going all over the place, inviting alcoholics into their house. Hey, y'all, let's have a meeting. Come over. All these drunks inside the house, right? That's how it was. They would have the whole downstairs of their house filled up with alcoholics from off the street. And they would be sharing their experience, strength, and hope with each other. And people were getting sober. Now, of course, you'd have a few that would go back out and relapse. I know, but they would go back and they would get him. And his wife was so, hey, mommy. His wife, with Mommy of 3 girls, his wife was so awesome. Lois was like probably out there hosting with like cookies and crackers and drinks, you know, because she was seeing her husband fellowship with other men, and they're sharing their troubles with each other, and they're recovering. You know, for guys, it's difficult. It's not like with us girls. With us girls, I can get on here and I can tell you guys, hey, I'm struggling today. This is what I feel like. This is what I'm going through. And, you know, I can get it off my chest. But guys, they're taught to be stoic and manly and don't tell anybody how they feel. And that's just like, first of all, that's not conducive to recovery. Okay? If you're a man and you need help, you need to reach out. If you're a man and you're struggling with a disease of addiction, you're not alone. You need to learn. You need to start talking. I know it's going to be difficult. I know you're not used to it, but you've got to start talking to somebody. And that's why, like, if a man's not comfortable with a 12-step program, I recommend therapy, one-on-one therapy for your husbands, you guys, because the guys really struggle opening up. They really struggle. It's the pride and the ego too, you guys. Pride and ego are our downfall as alcoholics and addicts. And men suffer with pride and ego a lot more than women do. You know, men think that they need to, like I said, do everything on their own, not ask for any help. I was the same way for many, 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 many years. And what happened to me, you guys, is nothing short of a miracle. I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired. My son was born, and he changed my life. I wanted more for my life. DHS got involved and took my son, and that was a miracle. That saved my life. You know, do I wish it didn't have to happen that way? Well, hell yeah. But it happened that way, and it saved my life, okay? I had my head so far up my own ass. There was nothing you could do to get my head up out of my ass. I was on a downward spiral. I was at the bottom of the barrel. The only place I had left to go was death. That's the only place I had left to go. I was killing myself slowly. And I was wrecking vehicles. I was killing myself. And the fact that I'm able to sit here today with you guys and share with you my story and share where I've come from and share that I'm recovering from a hopelessly fucking bad state of mind and body, that is like a miracle. It is a miracle that I'm able to sit here and talk with you guys. So that's so true. I suffer big time with the ego thing and pride. Also the embarrassment of my family. I finally made me a therapy appointment for Friday afternoon to seek treatment for grief counseling. Good job. I'm so proud of you. And I know, you guys, I know it's hard taking the first step, okay? The first step's always the hardest. But once you get that first step out of the way, then you'll do the second step. Then you'll do the third step. Then you'll start gaining that momentum. Okay? And that momentum will help you stay going forward. Just don't get complacent. Don't slow down your momentum. Keep making the steps. It doesn't matter how slow they are. Just keep taking those steps towards recovery. Before it turns into something bigger. Yeah, that's right, Mommy of 3, because that's what we do. When we're struggling, we want to self-medicate. When we're tired, we want to self-medicate. When we're hungry, we want to self-medicate. When we're angry, we want to self-medicate. Hungry, angry, lonely, and tired. Okay? And self-awareness is a gift. The fact that you are aware that you're feeling those feelings and that you want to self-medicate is a miracle. It's a huge thing, because so many addicts and alcoholics, they don't have self-awareness. They don't realize how selfish they are being. They don't realize that, you know, that they're using drugs and alcohol to, you know, to fill them up and to change the way they feel, you know? Yoga! I saw that. So here's the deal. It also tells us that frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. The message which can interest and hold these addicts' attention has to have depth and weight. So if I got on here And I was 16 years old, and I had just maybe started drinking and decided I need to quit, and just quit, and came on here and said, I'm an alcoholic, you guys. I just quit drinking. I've been drinking for 6 days, and I'm tired of this. I'm quitting. Y'all are going to look at me like, girl, you ain't an alcoholic. You're only 16. I've been there. And so when I come on here and share my experience with you guys, and I share my truth, and I share my you know, that bad shit that I went through, that shit has depth and weight, and you guys can relate to that. And that's where we're connecting. We're connecting on that common peril, the common struggle, the common tragedies that we've all went through because of our addiction. And that brings us together. That brings us together, you guys, to recover. And that's what I'm trying to do here on my channel, is be a place where you can come together and you can find support anytime, and reach out to other people and reach out to me and have a support system, you know? Yeah, because here's the deal, you guys. The opposite of addiction is connection. Okay, I don't know if you guys have heard of Rat Park, but there was this experiment they did back in, I think, the 70s, where they had these rats, and they were trying to find out if they, you know, if they put these rats in this little cage with cocaine, if they would take the cocaine or just drink the regular water, right? And so they're trying to study addiction. So they had 2 cages, okay? They had a cage with a water bottle with cocaine and water in it, and that's it, and the rats. And then they had a cage with a beautiful, beautiful landscape inside of it, with a wheel that the rats could run on, with food, with water, with cheese, with little balls they could play with, and then they had the bottle of water of cocaine. Okay? So in the cage where there was no other rats, nothing to play with, the rats went to the bottle of cocaine, drank it, went out, came back, drank some more, went out, came back, drank some more, and they drank the cocaine water until they died. Because it was just them and the cocaine water. They had no connections. Then the rats that were inside the cage that had the balls and the fun stuff and the cheese and the water and also the cocaine water, they went over, they tried it. Ugh. And then they went over and they tried the other water. And then they seen that their friends were there and that they had stuff to do. So their circumstances and the fact that they had their little rat friends and all that, they didn't go back to the cocaine water because they didn't need to take that to change the way they felt, so that way they didn't feel like they were alone, you know? Oh, Mommy of 3, you're welcome. So, that the opposite of addiction is connection, you guys. Even for some rats. Okay, so... Okay, so I want to read this one last part to you guys. Men and women drink or use drugs essentially because they like the effect produced by that substance, okay? The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, they cannot, after a time, differentiate the true from the false. To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are restless and irritable and discontented unless they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort, which comes at once by taking a few drinks. Drinks which they see others taking with impunity. After they have succumbed to the desire again, as so many do, and the phenomenon of craving develops, they pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution not to drink again. This is repeated over and over unless this person can experience an entire psychic change. There is very little hope of his recovery. My husband has to change the way he thinks. He has to stop thinking it's okay to take benzos. He has to stop He has to have a total change. He has to realize that those medications only hurt him and harm him. But you guys hear it? It talks about it right here, that we drink and use because we like the way it makes us feel. We like that feeling. We want to get that release. So, you know, that dopamine, all that stuff that starts kicking off in our brains when that goes to our, you know, brains, whether it's cocaine, alcohol, marijuana, whatever. We like that feeling, okay? And even though we know that once we, oh, my husband just said, I might stumble, but I will keep moving forward. See, Danny, listen, he might, listen, that's the thing, like, with a Suboxone taper, if he's not comfortable in his recovery yet, and he's not, like, how long has he been on it, and has he done anything other than be on Suboxone? Like, let's talk about this for a second, okay? Let's really analyze this, okay? Okay, so he's been on for 2 years. Okay, in those 2 years, has he had any lapses? In those 2 years, has he done any therapy? Has he gotten connected with other alcoholics and addicts that are in recovery? Has he learned that he has to change his thinking? Okay. So what I see happening, I see that he's on Suboxone for 2 years, and that he's trying to take a 15-plus year addiction and turn it around in 2 years. Why is he rushing? Why is he rushing? No. I would stop his taper. I would tell him to stop where he's at. I would tell him to go to the doctor, sit down, and talk with him. Okay, so it's because of the money situation with the Suboxone? Okay, that's why he wants to taper. All right, well, I understand that, okay? I understand, but listen, you got to look at it this way. If he relapses and gets on pills, the money will go out the door anyway. So we got to weigh our options here. Would we rather have him on a medication that's helping him stay sober, that's a little expensive, or would we rather him jump off too early, potentially relapse, get back on pills, and clean out your bank account? That's what I keep on trying to tell my husband, is that that job will come and go. I don't want him to die. So if he's struggling and he needs to get in an easier position, I don't care. I would rather him be healthy. So we have to get your husband on the same page with us. We have to make him realize that we would rather him be healthy. We would rather him be steady. Oh yeah, listen to me. I know that it's a lot of money whenever you've got kids, okay? I know it is. Me and my husband pay it. He's also on Suboxone, and I'm on Suboxone, okay? At one time, we were paying $400 a week, okay, for us both to go to the Suboxone doctor when we first started out. $400 a week. That's 4, 8, 12. That's $1,600 a month, okay? And now we pay $200 every quarter, every 3 months. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8. $1,600 a year, I think. It's probably, and plus our prescriptions. But you guys, I'm telling you, we have money, and I have money saved up. You know, I have money put aside in the bank, so that way, if we need it, if we fall short, I can go put it towards whatever we need to put it towards. Because here's the deal. If I'm in active addiction, I will spend all the money. If I'm in active addiction, I will not have a job. If I'm in active addiction, I will not be here doing videos with you guys. If I'm in active addiction, I'm no good to anybody. And if being on Suboxone helps me to stay out of active addiction, then damn it, y'all, don't get it twisted. I'm telling you guys right now, if he's tapering because of money, then he needs to stop his taper. Okay? He needs to be tapering. If he's tapering, he needs to taper because he's ready. because he feels confident in his recovery, because he feels like he's gotten to a place where he's like, I don't need the medication anymore. You know, and that's the thing. Then people will try to say, oh, well, Suboxone, so listen to me. I was shooting dope in my veins. I was shooting Roxy's in my veins, okay? I was shooting Roxy's in my veins. I got a comment the other day from a person that is subscribed to my channel. Yes, just setting up for failure if it's cause money. Yes, Deidre, because that's the thing. Like, you guys, money will come and go. Family is what matters. Your recovery, his sobriety is what matters, okay? Danny, I know that you're working and you're trying to be supportive. You just need to keep on telling him, babe, we will make it work. I'm supporting you. I want you to stay sober. You know, if you can start pulling in, maybe, I don't know, do you have like an extra way you can make a little bit of extra cash, making jewelry and selling it on Etsy? I don't know, doing shirts and selling them. I mean, on your YouTube channel, you can make like little merch and stuff that you could sell. When your YouTube channel gets big, you know, there's all kinds of things, ways you can make extra money to help with that money, you know, that situation. But it will only be worse if he picks back up. And that's what makes me worry. You know, I don't want that to happen to him. But I understand the stress that it causes with the medication being so expensive. I do understand that, you guys. But like I said, me and my husband are both on it, and we are not rich. I only work part-time, and he is the manager of a grocery store. Like, we are not rich, okay? But we make it work, because in active addiction, we didn't have shit. Okay, so I wanted to read to you guys this comment that somebody sent me about Roxy's and how, you know, shooting them up is so dangerous. So he says, you never feared damage to your body or veins because of all the fillers and binders like glue to hold the pills together that are not meant to go in your bloodstream. And I was like, no, I'm an addict. I didn't care. Like, but that's the thing. I didn't realize that all those fillers and stuff didn't come out. I thought whenever you broke down the pills and ciphered them up through the cotton, that took that stuff out. And he says, no, they are not filtered out. In fact, many times particles solidify and then clot after it enters your bloodstream. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. The talc goes to your eyes and lungs. So, and I was doing that because, you guys, because I wanted that drug in my body so bad that I would do anything to get it there, you know. I would shoot up pills that are not meant to be shot up, you know, and that's what I'm saying is, like, we'll do anything. I know, Deidre. I'm sorry that I was made you guys worry, and I was upset last night. You guys caught me right when it happened. Like, it had just happened. My husband had just gotten home, and we had just had a talk, and I would just, you know, just sharing with him how worried I am about him. But you know what? Here's the thing, you guys. Sometimes things like this have to happen to wake us up. And I had really, really gotten complacent on my program, and he had really gotten complacent with his. He hasn't been calling his sponsor, he hasn't been going to his meetings, and he hasn't been following through with what he has to do to stay sober. And that's the thing, you guys. We're parents, but our recovery is first. Because without our recovery, we will not have our kid. So in order to maintain our lifestyle, we have to stay on our recovery. I know, Danny. And so I'm, you know, with my husband, and this is, you guys, the devil, I'm telling you, the devil is a lie, because this is the second time that he has found these medications just found them. Okay. And he found some pills and he took them. And then he went and got money out of the bank and went down somewhere where he wasn't supposed to go. And guess what happened? They stole his money. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And I was so grateful for that that I pray over my husband every single day. I pray that God keeps his hand of protection over him, and that he, you know, protects him. And I'm telling you guys right now, I love my husband. He's a very smart man, but he's not smart when it comes to this kind of stuff. And people see him coming. And those drug dealers saw his butt coming. That's my husband. A little redheaded guy. They saw his butt coming. And they say, oh, here comes the white boy. We're going to get paid. And that's what they do. They got his money and they ran. You know, and that's money that comes out of our lifestyle. You know, it was $40, but still, it's the principle of the matter. You know what I'm saying? And what would happen if he had went down there and he had copped and he had gotten pulled over? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, this is why this is so dangerous. These are the things that we don't think about when we're in that mind state. When we're in active addiction mind state, we're not thinking, oh, well, I could possibly get pulled over and lose everything. You know, I want you guys to know that I am already on top of everything. I take my son to school. I pick my son up. My son doesn't go anywhere without me, just so y'all know. So I got that on lock. And it's because I don't trust him. I don't trust my husband, and I'm just being straight up. That, yeah, Deidre, it could have, because I've seen him get before and then come home and his whole face was red like he had just had a heart attack. So this is how, y'all, this is what's happening in real life, in my life, okay? I'm not trying to sugarcoat nothing. I'm just telling you like it is. It's hard when you're in recovery and you love somebody who's also trying to be sober. You know, my husband wants to be a better person. He wants to be a good dad. He wants to be a good husband. He wants to be a part of this family. He struggles internally. He struggles with depression that I don't even know how to help him with. And that's what makes this so hard for me, because I don't know how to help him. So the only thing I know how to do is to tell him, please get to therapy. I ask him to talk to me about it, and he just says he doesn't know, you know, and it's really difficult, you guys, because I'm an open book, but he's so much different than me, and that's why we get along so good, because I'm an open book, and he is just so very shy and very timid and very, like, he's very inward, introverted, and I'm an extrovert, you know? And part of the reason why he is like that is because he was raised up to not talk about anything. He was raised up to keep all those things a secret. Hey, Mandy, thank you, sweetheart. Love you, girl. I got your message on Twitter, and I messaged you back. But I'll tell you this, when he was growing up, his mom always, like, she put this shame on it, you guys. She put this shame. Like, shh, don't tell anyone. What will they think if they know? Okay? And that's what we're not doing that here. That's not how life is. We're not going to feed shame anymore. We're not going to feed embarrassment. There's nothing to not tell anybody about. We're talking about addiction today. We're talking about mental illness today. That shit's in the past. Okay, that don't let anybody know attitude, that doesn't help anybody. It creates people who don't want to talk. It creates people to feel shame and guilt and not share that they're struggling. Okay, and that's what I've got on my hands. I've got a man who has been molded by his mother to not talk about his feelings, to not share that he's struggling, to be ashamed that he has this problem. Instead of sharing it, getting it out, and getting better, he keeps it inside and stays ashamed. And that doesn't help anybody. When I talk to my son, you guys, I resent his mother because the way she raised him up like this. Because she taught him to be embarrassed of everything. She taught him to not talk about anything. She taught him to think, what will everyone else think? All the time. And so now, when my son's growing up, I tell him, who cares what people think? You can talk to me about anything. We laugh and we have a great time. I don't him in public. That's how this woman is. She will literally me in public. And I'm like, I'm a grown woman. It's because she gets embarrassed, because she gets ashamed. Well, you know what? I'm not hiding in the shadows anymore. I'm sober today. I'm living my life right. I don't have to be ashamed. I don't have to be afraid. I don't have to And that's what I'm trying to help him get through his thick skull. Because he has been molded like this for years and years and years by his mother to not talk about the problem, to brush it under the rug, to cover it up with something. Thanks, Danny. That does make me feel good. I appreciate it for real. I want y'all to know that, like, covering up the problem, it doesn't make it better. Covering it up, the problem's still there, you guys. The problem is still there, okay? Putting a Band-Aid on the boo-boo without cleaning it out, sterilizing it, and all that stuff, it's going to get infected, all right? We've got to address the core issue. That's what it talks about in the big book. It talks about we have to get down to the causes and conditions of why we were drinking and getting high, okay? And that's what we have to do. We have got to stop running from the problem, stop hiding that we have an addiction, okay? We have to open up, be honest, you guys. There's nothing to be ashamed of, you know. And classy, that makes me. It's that generation to know you're an addict. She doesn't want anybody to know you're an addict. That makes me so angry. You don't even understand. I tell everybody, you guys. I tell everybody I'm in recovery, and I'll tell you this. Neil's mom's the same way. Shh, you shouldn't tell anybody that. And you know what, you guys? I don't fucking care. I don't fucking care. You know why? Because I have came from the depths of hell and changed my life. I'm a new woman. I'm a new woman, you guys. And I'm trying to help my husband to be that same way. I'm trying to help him to see that there is no shame in needing help. There's no shame in being an addict, okay? Like hiding it and being embarrassed of it, like I said, it's not going to help you get better. So that's what we're doing, y'all. We're addressing the problem. Right. And that's the thing, like, it's our life, you guys. You know, it's our life. Oh, Mandy, I love you, girl. We've got to take control, and we are writing our own story now. We're not going to let drugs write our story no more. We're not going to let cocaine and dope and heroin and booze and all that shit take our lives from us. Because that's what we were doing. We were giving drugs the key. We were giving the drugs the key and saying, here, drugs, take me for a ride. And drugs were taking us for a ride. They took us for a good ride for a long time, and then we ran smack dab into a brick wall. Drugs and alcohol will take you down through there. They will take everything that matters to you. They will take your family. They will take your children. They will take your home. They will take your job. They will take your dignity. They will take your respect. They will take your morals. They will take your values. Everything goes down the drain when you have a drug addict, when you're on drugs, when you have a drug problem. You guys, I'm telling you right now, I'm not ashamed. I am not ashamed. I'm damn proud of how far I've come. I'm damn proud that I'm not jabbing a needle in my arm no more. Okay? And if people want to be embarrassed of me, then don't fucking come around. That's what I tell them. That's what I tell them. Because you know what? I'm damn proud of myself, y'all. I am so happy to have my mom to be so supportive. My mom, should be doing backflips saying, my daughter's a recovering drug addict. My daughter's a recovering drug addict. Telling everybody about it. Because she is so proud of me, you guys. Because I'm actually living my life right. I'm actually doing the right thing today. I'm trying to help others at the same time, you know? I don't want you guys to be ashamed, okay? Do not let people make you feel ashamed, all right? Because here's the deal. That shame, that's theirs. You let them have that, okay? That that embarrassment, that's theirs. All right. You are owning your addiction. You're owning your problem, okay? And now you're taking the proper steps to work on it. All right? If they want to be embarrassed and they don't want to talk about it, you know what? Then they're not going to heal. They can stay sick. But you know what we're doing over here on Real Talk Recovery? We're healing over here, motherfuckers. We're getting better. We ain't staying sick. You know? That's what we're doing over here. There's no shame. There's no shame. Okay? That's what I was telling Neil. I love my husband. I am proud of, listen to me. He is a good man. Okay? He works hard to take care of our family. I'm not mad at him. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'm going to lose him. I'm afraid that he'll die. I'm afraid that something bad will happen. I'm afraid that something could happen to him and we'll never see him again. You guys, those are the things. When I get angry and I get all worked up, it's not because I'm mad. It's because I'm afraid. That's when I'm afraid, it comes out in anger. Okay? It comes out, when I'm afraid, it comes out in tears and screaming and yelling and repeating myself over and over again. That's what happens. Come on. Go outside. Come on, guys. I want others to feel that freedom from within, the freedom to not obsess over drugs like I do. Today, I don't obsess over getting high anymore. Sure, I have bad days, you guys. Everybody has bad days. But instead of focusing on that bad day, instead of focusing on the one day out of the week that I feel shitty, like I could sit here and I could focus on yesterday and I could really keep on going over and over and over and over it in my mind and make myself sick. Okay? But I'm not going to do that. Today, we're taking action. Today, we're going to take action and we're going to make changes and we're going to do what we have to do to stay in recovery. Okay? And that's what it is. I can talk about it all day long, but until I take action and I step out and we make the changes as a family, then everything's going to stay the same. So I have got to be the leader of the family, take a hold of this and lead us in the right direction. So that's what we're doing. I am going to, you guys, I'm a born leader if y'all haven't noticed. So that's what we're doing. I'm taking hold of this. I'm going to lead us to the promised land of recovery. I'm going to lead my husband and his little butt all the way there. And he better just come on with it. You guys, it would be hard if I was working with somebody who didn't want to change, you know. That's hard. When somebody doesn't want to change and they're happy in their addiction and they don't want to get back, they don't want to get on track, it's hard. But I'm not dealing with that. I got somebody on my hands who wants to do different, who wants to be a better person, but just doesn't know how. So we're going to keep on keeping on and keep on pushing forward. You know, I love him. I want what's best for him. And I want what's best for all of you guys too. Sorry, my boobies. I don't have a problem. I want what's best for him and I want him to be happy. And that's what I want for my husband. I want him to be happy. I want him to feel good in his own skin. You know, and I know that the reason he is reaching for other substances is because he doesn't feel okay in his skin. You know, he doesn't feel okay with him. So I'm trying to help him. You know, I've been there. I know what it's like to not feel okay with yourself, to always second guess yourself, and to feel like, you know, you're not going anywhere. And that's just the farthest thing from the truth with him, though. He is so, I guess that's what happens, you guys. People that you would never think, have insecurities, have insecurities. And so you can look at somebody and think, hey, you know, their life is great. Look at them. They've got it all. But inside, they're hurting. Okay? Inside, they don't feel like that. Inside, they don't feel like they have it all. And that's what my husband's going through. He is hurting inside. And I've got to help him. That's what I'm going to do. You know. my first reaction is like, I gotta get out of here. I can't handle this. This is too much. I didn't sign up for this. You know, and then I'm like, for better or for worse, for sickness and in health. You know, when I was at my worst, you guys, he took me in. I had nowhere to go. I was living on the streets, okay? I was sleeping on someone's couch. I had no car. My car had just gotten impounded. I was shooting dope all day long. I lost my job. I had nowhere to go. And he came and he saved me. So you know what? He needs me to help him right now. So I'm going to help him now. You know, and that's what we do for each other. When one's struggling, the other one picks up the weight. So that's what I have to do. I have to step in and pick up the weight for him until he can get back on track. You know? If I was early in recovery, you guys, and I hadn't been sober for a couple of years, I might be in a different place, you know? But I don't feel triggered by him. I don't feel like I want to use or anything like that. It breaks my heart. It makes me sad when I see him like that. It disappoints me, and it makes me sad and afraid for him because I don't want him to die. You guys, we live in a city where these people don't play around here. They'll rob you, shoot you, and leave you to die on the side of the road. You know, it's a gang-banging city. And the gangs are prevalent here. And that's where you have to go to get the dope, is where those gangs and stuff are at. And so it's super dangerous. And I don't want to lose him. You know, I don't want him to get hurt. And I don't want him to get a hold of something and die. That's one of my biggest fears, is him getting a hold of something and dying. Okay. I had to get the dishes going. All right. I'm not perfect, you guys. You know, I have struggles too. I want y'all to know that. No, I haven't been struggling with my sobriety. You know, I've been staying sober. But I've been there. I used to struggle for a long time. So I know what it's like to, you know, struggle with the back and forth of relapse and recovery, relapse and recovery. And I know how it can knock you down when you have a relapse and you're doing good for a little bit, and then you relapse and you're like, damn it, I was doing so good. You know, I have to remind myself that like, I have got to help him to feel confident and to help his self-esteem, because it doesn't help whenever you knock the person down after they've already been knocked down, you know? So together, I have to help him to build that confidence. Okay, we're gonna eat the soup together, you guys. Talk about this morning before I go. Anything? Any questions? Any comments? Talk to me. Okay, Emily. Yeah, I totally believe that, you know, we just got to work on it together. So I hope you guys know how much you guys helped me. Last night, I was so sad, and I was able to get on here and talk with you guys. You guys helped me so much. So much. Like, you just don't even understand how much y'all helped me. Hold on, Jenna. Stop doing that. Okay. I was just like, y'all give me strength. You know, you guys help me to be a better person. You guys help me to look inside of myself. I'm grateful for you guys. Okay, let's go in the computer room and we'll read some comments, okay? Okay, hold on, guys. There we go. Sorry about that. Okie dokie. So, yeah, Angel, you could come over anytime if you were here too. I would love to have you here. Well, you know, last night after I got off the phone with you guys, I gave Nate a bath and we just went to sleep. It was like 7:30, 8 o'clock when we went to sleep, I think. It was pretty early. But I just thought, you know, I'm not going to sit here and over and over and over again rehash it, you know? Because I sound like a broken record. So tell me this. How are all of you guys doing with your recovery? Is everybody staying on the right track and doing well? Also, I want to start doing like little step study meetings with you guys, okay? So I had a girl email me. Her name's Carrie. And good, Angel, that makes me happy to hear. She asked me to do some step 1, step 2, step 3 meetings. Which I have some. I'm going to check where they're at. But, you did, wonderful mommy. That's awesome. That is so good. I'm so proud of you. So, you know, step 1, listen to me. You guys, step 1, I'm currently taking my dose down. 1 milligram every 6 weeks. Good job. That's a good slow taper. That's what I recommend. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but a good slow taper is what you got to do. Slow, low and slow. With the steps, when you're doing your first step, I want you to really, really, really take that step with your whole heart. Okay? With your everything in you. I want you to consciously surrender and say, I'm admitting I'm powerless over drugs and alcohol. Okay? When drugs and alcohol go into my body, I don't know how to act. And it takes me down through there. And I need help. You know, step 1 was the hardest step for me to take. Because I didn't want to surrender. I didn't want to surrender and admit that I couldn't do drugs anymore. Because you know what? I kind of liked doing them. I liked getting high. For many, many years, I liked getting high. But I wasn't doing the drugs anymore. The drugs were doing me. So, now I've surrendered. Total surrender. And you know what? When I get off Suboxone, you guys, I will go through the steps again and I will surrender some more. Because I feel like once we go through the steps a couple times, it's easy to get complacent. So go back through them again with your sponsor. And it's like, we'll shine a light, okay? And it will show you things that you didn't realize, you know, that you might need to be working on. So, okay, let's look up step 1 video. Okay, Angel, see you later. Oh. I know I have some step videos in here. Anyway, so step 1 is surrendering, okay? Surrender. Fully surrender and come to terms with the fact. And you know what? I've even heard people go as far to say that when you surrender and you let go of your drugs of choice, you can have like a funeral for them. Because you are saying goodbye. Hasta mañana. Or no. Hasta la vista. You're never coming back. You're saying goodbye to those drugs and alcohol, and that you don't want them back in your life. It's kind of like closing the chapter on a toxic relationship, you guys. That's what surrender from alcohol and drugs is. Closing the chapter on a toxic relationship. Your relationship with your substance of choice was a horrible relationship. They were abusing you. They were telling you how to live your life, controlling you. Think about it. In that relationship with that substance, was it not telling you how to live your life? Didn't those pills tell you when you could go out and do stuff? Didn't those pills tell you when you could have sex with your partner? Didn't those pills and drugs tell you whether you could drive down to the store or not? Oh, yeah. And so I'm going to do that, Emily. That's what I was talking to. One of my subscribers emailed me like a couple days ago and was asking about the steps and asking if I would start sharing about the steps with you guys. So I was like, sure, you know. And so what we're going to do on Saturday we're going to have a step 1 meeting. Okay. We're going to have a step 1 meeting, and I'm going to go through the step. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you guys. And you know where I learned all this stuff from? My sponsor. And then there's also a guy that I watch, that I used to follow on Facebook when I was still on Facebook. And he used to do these step study meetings. So good. If you break down the first step, it says, we admitted we were, W-E-R-E, were powerless. Okay? Do you see how it says we at the beginning? The reason, it doesn't say I admitted, okay? It says we. Because what is this program? It's a program of unity, of togetherness, of connection, of fellowship. Because I can't do this alone. I need you guys to help me stay sober. We admitted we were. Were past tense. That means that, sure, I was powerless over drugs and alcohol when I was taking them into my body. Today, I have the power to make the right choice. Today, I'm not powerless, okay? Today, I can... Oh, Emily, that's what's up, girl. You know, you can email me anytime or message me on Instagram, and we can talk, like, face-to-face on the phone. You just gotta email me or message me on Instagram, and we can do video chat. But, whenever I heard that, because when I first started taking the steps, you guys, I thought that what it was telling me is that I was powerless for the rest of my life. Like, I'm powerless, you know, and that I'm weak, okay? And that I don't have the power to do anything. What the step is telling me is that we admitted we were, is that I was powerless when I was under the influence of drugs and alcohol. Whenever I have drugs and alcohol inside of me, I am powerless. Once I take the first drink or the first drug, I cannot make good choices. Everything goes to the left, right? Everything goes haywire when I put those substances into my body, because my body has an adverse reaction to drugs and alcohol. I do not metabolize that shit the same way a normal person does. Us drug addicts break out in handcuffs and felonies, okay? When we get drugs and alcohol in our system. When we get drugs and alcohol in our system, we don't go and have a drink at the bar. We go to the bar. We might start at the bar. We might start with a drink. But after that, we're shutting the place down. And then after that, we're going to get some cocaine. Because y'all see what I'm saying? We have no mental defense against the first drink if we're not working a program of recovery. Okay? When we're living our lives, like, for instance, with my husband, he hasn't been working his program. So he had no defense against the first drink. Okay? Y'all understand what I'm saying? He's not staying spiritually connected. He's not staying in connection with other people and his higher power to help him stay accountable. It's so important that we stay accountable, because we will forget, you guys. It's very easy to forget that last time, that time that made us think, I've got to quit. I want to change now. All right? What the last time you used, that last really bad time, you know, when you lost your kids and you drove your car into a brick wall and you lost your job and your parents found you knotted out and you caught your house on fire, you know, that time that you said, this is it, it's over, I'm getting sober. Or this is it, it's over, I'm going to the clinic and I'm going to get put on medication because I need help. Whatever your bottom was, it's so easy for us addicts to forget that. Because our minds only remember the good times. It's called euphoric recall. Our minds only remember the kiki with the girls and the little, oh, I'm just going to toot a little line. Okay? That's not how it goes down. It's grimy. It's nasty. You get all fucking, you lose everything in addiction. It's not like, oh, let me just get my little necklace out and, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like Pulp Fiction, y'all. Okay, it's like Pulp Fiction whenever she's on the ground and they're sticking that needle in her heart to make her come out of that overdose. That's what it's like. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to stop romanticizing and fantasizing about our addictions and get serious and hate that shit. Okay? I hate that shit. I don't want to go back to that life. All right? I don't want to be any part of that. There's nothing cool about it. There's nothing fun about it. It was hell on earth. It was hell going out and having to find a way to get drugs every day. It was hell having to go out and steal and manipulate to get drugs every day. It was hell having to put my body through things I didn't want to do to get drugs. So we were powerless over drugs and alcohol. So today, as long as I stay sober and as long as I take the right steps and I stay on my program, I got power today. Okay? And that our lives had become unmanageable. Can you admit that your life was unmanageable when you were on drugs? Now listen, if you're one of those people that had a job and you were still taking pills, I want you to think really hard. Did those pills make decisions for you? Did those pills tell you whether or not you could take your wife out? Did those pills tell you whether or not you could go to work? Did those pills tell you, I mean, think about it. That's unmanageability when a substance is ruling your life. It's controlling your life. It doesn't matter if you have a job. If you were lucky enough to hold on to it, I'm proud of you. But you know what? That don't mean shit. I held on to jobs for a long time until I couldn't. That's what happens with addiction, you guys. It's a progressive illness. It gets worse, never better. You might have been able to hold on to a job at the beginning, but if you continue going, you'll be just where I was. Just give it some time. Give it 10 years. Call me in 10 years and you'll be just like I was. Emily, okay? So do you see the unmanageability of that, Emily? And do you see also how our brains can rationalize and justify, well, I work 60 hours a week. I'm doing good in my life. I pay my bills. I'm a responsible human being. You know, you know what I'm saying? But think about it. And I know that you realize this. But that's what your addiction will do. Your addiction will tell you, well, my name's Emily Gordon, and I've got my life on lock. I work 60 hours a week. I'm a pretty girl. I've got my husband happy. I got a beautiful home. I just take these pills. I just need them every now and then. That's what our addictions will tell us. Our addictions will tell us that it's really not that bad. But I'm telling you, the longer and longer and longer it goes, because like I said, the illness is a progressive illness. It gets worse. Look back into your addiction, okay? Look back 6-7 years ago to when it started, okay? And look at how it changed over time and how it got worse, okay? I can look back to when I first started, and I was just a teenager, okay? I was 17 years old when I first started drugs and alcohol. I was a party girl, okay? I was drinking on the weekends and snorting lines of cocaine at parties. Everything was fun and games. Then the addiction progressed. I graduated, and I started buying my own drugs. And then it progressed past that. And then I started smoking drugs. It all progresses the longer you go. And if you're a person who has a prescription pill addiction and your doctor's prescribing you the pills, look at how you went from this milligram up to this milligram, up to these many, up to these many, up to needing real refills when you really don't need refills, up to calling in your prescription and saying it got stolen out of your car, up to, do you see what I'm saying? Like, all these things are things that happen to an addict, you know, but we will justify and rationalize the things that are going on because we want to continue. We don't want to admit complete defeat. Nobody does, okay? Nobody wants to look at themselves. It talks about it right here. I'll read it to you guys. It talks about it in the big book. How we don't want to admit that we can't that we are getting our asses kicked and handed to us. Physical this morning for the first time. Emily, don't be embarrassed, okay? Do not be embarrassed. I was just talking about that earlier. There's nothing to be embarrassed of, okay? You have a disease, and you needed to be honest with your doctor, because if you're not honest with him, then he cannot help you, you know? And he needs to know what your body's been through. He needs to know if he needs to check for certain things. He needs to check your liver, all that kind of stuff. So, you're fine. Don't even worry. That's a big step that you talk to your doctor. A lot of people don't ever get honest with their doctor. I was completely honest with my GP. Good. Because that's going to be a thing that's going to protect your recovery. Okay. I used to do the same thing and not tell my doctor. And then if I relapse, I could go back, and every doctor I know knows now that I'm an addict, you know? Okay, so listen to this. We are people who normally would not mix, but there exists among us a fellowship, a friendliness, and an understanding which is indescribably wonderful. We are like the passengers of a great liner, the moment after rescue from shipwreck, when camaraderie, joyousness, and democracy pervade the vessel from steerage to captain's table. Unlike the feelings of the ship's passengers, however, our joy in the escape from disaster does not subside as we go our individual ways. The feeling of having shared in common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us together. But that in itself would never have held us together as we are now joined. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that we have discovered a common solution. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree and upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from addiction. An illness of this sort, and we have come to believe it an illness, involves those about us in a way no other human sickness can. If a person has cancer, all are sorry for him, and no one is angry or hurt. But not so with the alcoholic, for with it there goes annihilation of all things worthwhile. It engulfs all the lives who it touches. It brings misunderstanding, fierce resentment, financial insecurity, disgusted friends and employers, warped lives of blameless children, sad wives and parents. Anyone can increase the list. We hope this volume will inform and comfort those who are or who may be affected. There are many. Highly competent psychiatrists who have dealt with us have found it sometimes impossible to persuade an alcoholic to discuss his situation without reserve, without shame. Strangely enough, wives, parents, and intimate friends usually find us even more approachable than do the psychiatrist and the doctor. But the ex-problem drinker who has found his solution, who is properly armed with the facts about himself, can generally win the entire confidence of another alcoholic in a few hours. Until such an understanding is reached, little or nothing can be accomplished. So we connect with each other, and that's how we help each other. I want to read one more part to you, okay? How many times people have said to us, I can take it or leave it alone. Why can't he? Why don't you drink like a gentleman or just quit? That fellow can't handle his liquor. Why don't you try beer or wine? Lay off the hard stuff. His willpower must be weak. He could stop if he wanted to. She's such a sweet girl. I should think he'd stop for her sake. These are all the things that we say and that others say to us about our addictions. Okay, go ahead. What's your question, Emily? Okay. Now, these are commonplace observations on drinkers, which we hear all the time. Back of them is a world of ignorance and misunderstanding. People who think we could just take it or leave it, or think we are weak, okay? That's ignorance and misunderstanding. Addicts and alcoholics are some of the most strongest people you will ever meet. It has nothing to do with weakness. It has to do with a mental obsession. It has to do with a disease. Our brains are diseased brains. And then our bodies follow suit, you guys. And our bodies become dependent on the alcohol. Sorry about that. So, okay, so we see that these expressions refer to people whose reactions are very different from ours. Moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they had good reason for it. They can take it or leave it alone. So in the book, they talk about the 3 different kinds of drinkers, okay? And if you're an addict, you can just relay this back to addiction. There's moderate drinkers or moderate addicts who can take or leave alcohol. I mean, they can drink it and they can say, you know what, I'm not going to do that again. I'm stopping, okay? Then there is I think it's called the hard drinker. They might go on like sprees or binges, but then they'll stop for months at a time, right? And then there's the real addict or the real alcoholic who has they cannot take it or leave it. They have no defense against the drink or the drug. And it's almost like I said, like a mental obsession that drives them, okay? And the only way to get that obsession and to get yourself on track is to get connected spiritually to a power greater than yourself, okay? Get honest, open-minded, and willing, all right? Get yourself a sponsor. Work the 12 steps. They're so awesome. They're a design for living. They will save your ass. I cannot tell you guys how many times I have referred back to the 12 steps and it saved my ass. Or how many times, you know, the honesty helps me so much because I used to struggle with being honest. Now I don't. I just tell the truth and it sets me free. But Emily, email me. I'm going to jump off here. Oh, here we go. Also, as for people, I mostly only interact with my father and the people I work with. Okay, so I'm going to get off here. Emily, email me, okay? My email is in the About Me. All right, guys. Love y'all.